Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this beautiful evening in Stonewall. It is an honor, my pleasure, and that of council to be able to present to you tonight a series of exciting opportunities. What we have heard over time is a request for multipurpose recreation facilities, which would include, of course, swimming pool, running tracks, and the sort, and a hotel that would house our guests when they come to visit us on special occasions. Tonight, we will be able to present these opportunities and initiatives which has been worked on by Scatliff Miller Murray for our strategic plan, future plans, and something that we've long anticipated. We're blessed as a vibrant little town of Stonewall with a population of more than 5,000 people. And what we have got at our hands is a great future and opportunities for investments and the like, and for our member communities to participate with going to the future. We need your help. We need your help to make this initiative a reality. Let us know your thoughts, good or bad, positive or negative. We need a major input so that we can move forward and continue to help Stonewall be the place to go to. Thank you. We will now turn it over to Wally Melnyuk for the presentation.
Thank you, Mayor Hines, for the introduction, and welcome everyone to our the town's presentation regarding the future of the Veterans Memorial Sports Complex site. The town of Stonewall identified within its strategic plan completed a couple of years ago that quality recreation and cultural facilities are a priority for the community. They have been the components that have built the nature and the identity of the community, and things that items that we want to continue to provide investment in to ensure the long-term sustainability and viability and attractiveness of the community. When the VMSC building was built back in the late 1990s and into early 2000, the plan was always to replace the palace with a second ice surface. And so the council looked at the fact that we want to have quality recreation and cultural facilities in our community, the fact that the ice palace is at the end of its useful life, and needed to look at what we were going to do in terms of these types of facilities in the community. But the council wanted to do more than just add another arena to the VMSC site. They wanted to look at how they could create economic opportunity and benefit for the community through the recreational facilities that they have. Again, we have strong, really good facilities in the summertime with Quarry Park and with Fines Field, and we also have very well recognized and facilities on the winter side, and we want to continue with that level of commitment in terms of quality and benefit for the community. As a result, Scatliff Miller Murray consultants were hired, and a study was completed regarding the future of the VMSC site and what could happen there. We will make that study available on our website after this presentation has been completed tonight. So what's the vision? The vision that we're looking at is expanded facilities and services for locals. We want to provide more of what people are asking for in terms of facilities and services for residents of this community, but also people from the region. They need to have a regional benefit and attraction so that ultimately we can, as a community in Stonewall, continue to provide kind of that central location, the gathering point for many individuals outside of our town. We also want to increase the inclusivity of the space and its use. So we wanted to go beyond just simply having ice surfaces available for community use. We want to go beyond just the people who skate or curl, and try to add other services within the VMSC site that will be appreciated and used by a wider range of individuals within the town and the area. What you see in front of you is the conceptual plan for the redevelopment of the site. Now, this picture is a little hard to see just because of the nature of what we've done there, but basically what you have in front of you is the current facilities, the curling club and the VMSC facility, a revised or a new ice surface, other space including multi-purpose space, as well as a walking track and gymnasium space, and an aquatic center is also part of the complex that's being considered. This is from a slightly different angle, but you can see that all the facilities that I just mentioned are within this cluster, all of them connected in some way, so ultimately weather is not an issue in terms of their usage. And we have another piece that ultimately is going to be presented tonight, and that is a new accommodations facility, a new hotel on the site. So as I said, the plan looks at a new arena, multi-use space, including a gymnasium, walking track and fitness center, and an indoor pool, something we're very excited about discussing tonight. We also have revamped outdoor space, and the current concept is still fluid. It demonstrates, walking areas, new soccer pitches, but that is still fairly fluid and may change over the course of time. So here's another graphic, I guess, with regards to what's being considered a better presentation in terms of the actual physical identification of the spaces. And you can see this, again, very conceptual in design. We're not talking about what elevations may look like. We're not talking about specifics. We're talking about what could be there, how it could interact with each other, and ultimately what we're looking to engage in terms of services on the site. So council is proposing a plan that would take a decade or longer to accomplish. This is not something that will be done in the next couple of years, but it will take some time and planning. And as such, there's an opportunity to continue to get community feedback about the pieces and the components that are going to be part of this project. The project as it currently stands with regards to an estimated cost is a $52 million investment in expanded public facilities. That's significant and ultimately will require more than just contributions from the town of Stonewall and its residents. We're looking to attract public sector and private sector investment. We're looking to look for grants from senior levels of government, but also private sector money through donations and contributions that will help to ensure that those facilities are built to a quality that everyone needs and expects with regards to recreation facilities in this community. We have exciting news that we're going to share about the first investment that's going to occur on site and is scheduled to happen in 2022. That is the hotel, and we actually have a presentation from the principals involved in that development that are going to be part of this presentation a little later. But there's an opportunity to do so much more beyond just what's being proposed here. And so we really think, the council really thinks that the proposed redevelopment of the VMSC site can be the catalyst for something very significant in the community of Stonewall going forward.
Thank you to the town of Stonewall for inviting us out tonight to present our hotel project concept. Thank you as well to our community for coming out to hear about this exciting development. We represent a group of 5 local investors who saw a hotel as an interesting opportunity for our community. This evening, we will give you a little background on who we are, the impacts of a modern hotel creates in our community, and our vision for the hotel scope.
Hi, my name is Dusty Moore and I'm one of the original directors of our Stonewall Hotel project. I grew up on a farm about 5 minutes outside of Stonewall where I was living with my wife Terrell, my daughter Reese, and my son Carter. About 2 years ago we made the decision to buy a house in Stonewall and move because of the amenities that Stonewall has for a young family. We couldn't be happier and have never looked back. When I was first approached about the possibility of building a hotel in Stonewall, it sounded like a very interesting proposal, but I didn't know the slightest thing about the hotel industry. I own Advanced Exteriors, a local roofing and siding company, and my wife is co-owner of Quarry Ridge Pharmacy with 2 other local people. As entrepreneurs and local business owners, we're very familiar with what is required to start and run a successful business in Stonewall. After doing my research and due diligence on the hotel project, I quickly realized how this project could have massive financial and social benefits for the town of Stonewall. I was excited to be accepted as one of the original investors in this project, and we have made our goal to bring on other like-minded shareholders who are interested in the success of Stonewall as much as the success of the hotel. As a local business owner, I'm thrilled that this project has the potential to bring millions of dollars directly into the local Stonewall economy on an annual basis. As a family man, I'm excited to know that my family will have access to modern recreation facilities and live in a town that is looking towards the future to remain one of the best places to live, raise a family, own a business, and retire. We hope you're excited about this project as much as we are, and we would love to discuss it further with anyone who may be interested.
Hi, my name is Tony Douglas. 3 years ago, my wife and I were looking to upgrade our house and find a community to accommodate our growing family. When we came across Stonewall, we immediately fell in love with the town. Recently, the prospect of building a hotel in Stonewall was presented to us, and we thought it was a great opportunity to diversify our investment portfolio while investing in the community that we have made our home. I'd like to thank everyone involved in the project to date and really appreciate all the effort that has gone into getting us to where we are today. And I can't wait to see the results of all the hard work. Now that the idea is coming to fruition, we are really excited about what the future holds for this project, and our kids are already looking forward to the first sleepover in the new hotel. Thank you for your time.
Hi, I'm Sandy Marone. My husband Scott and I and our 2 children have lived in the community for about 10 years. We invested in a hotel project in Rivers, Manitoba with Still Creek Developers. It was a wild success. The developer was looking to expand their portfolio of rural hotel projects in Manitoba, and when they were looking at Stonewall, we knew this was a project that we want to be a part of. It doesn't hurt that their projects are approved for the provincial small business venture tax credit, essentially returning 45% of your investment back almost immediately. This was one of the key driving points for us as a young family as we were looking to diversify our portfolio and have a way to inject some lifeblood into our community, as we knew that it would have a whole spin-off of different economic effects. Thanks for listening.
Hi, my name is Mike Walker. My wife Sarah and I have 3 children, a 15-year-old daughter named Annika, a 13-year-old daughter named Morgan, and an 8-year-old son named Lucas. We've lived in Stonewall since August of 2017, so almost exactly 4 years. We relocated to Manitoba from Alberta. I took a role within the company that's headquartered in Winnipeg, and as such was required to move to Manitoba. We landed in Stonewall really for a couple of reasons. My wife's cousin had lived here previously and spoke very highly of the town, of the people, of the sense of community. So we came and checked it out, and really over the course of a weekend, having visited the schools and eaten in some of the restaurants and just kind of checked out the facilities, decided that this was the place that we wanted to be. And looking back, it was certainly a great decision. We got sort of involved in this hotel project for a couple of reasons. The first one being that one thing that really stuck out to us when we visited previously to moving here was that there didn't seem to be an abundance of accommodations. Like, we stayed in the city and drove back and forth over the course of the weekend to look at houses and check things out. So when we heard about this, that was one thing that really kind of struck our interest. Once we've gotten into it a little bit further, then we understand from an investment standpoint how solid this looks for us. Personally, as a coach in minor hockey, as a coach in Stonewall softball, Interlake Phillies, and all of the different things that we take part in, we can appreciate the fact that another hotel here will really bring more tournaments, bigger tournaments, all of those things, and really be an economic driver for the community. Being involved in this core group has been very rewarding. It's been a lot of fun, and we're seeing now that what looks like a solid investment, having worked with the developer, is now looking like a no-brainer when you factor in the tax credit program. And really the last factor for us is just the hands-on nature of this investment. This isn't just putting your money somewhere and just hoping that it's going to do something for you. The people that are involved in this right now are very community-minded, want to see this project through, and that has been very rewarding. And that's why we're going to continue to participate and hope that all of you will as well. So if anybody has any questions, please let me know. I'm here to help answer any questions you might have, and look forward to seeing all of you at the initial investors meeting. Thank you.
We know this hotel project will bring numerous benefits back into the community. Adding this high visibility business and the associated revenue back into Stonewall spurs more opportunities for community development, investment confidence, and drives business growth. When communities can retain visitors overnight, various other local businesses benefit as well. Visitors will fuel up their vehicles, eat at local restaurants, browse the retail shops, and visit our attractions. Our town, with its excellent sports facilities, will also have the leverage to attract larger and more prominent events by being able to promote additional local hotel room availability. Having a multi-million-dollar construction project in town will allow local trades the opportunity to participate in the build, creates a demand for access to building supplies and services, and trades accommodation requirements. Quarry days, weddings, hockey tournaments, family reunions, funerals, all of these visitors now have the potential to be retained overnight in our community. Studies have shown that a rural 40-room hotel will inject upwards of $2 million annually back into our local economy.
Hello, my name's Trevor Rempel with Steel Creek Developers. We are a family-based development company focusing on hotels and residential developments in rural communities. We are a farm family from Elm Creek, Manitoba, and are now spread between rural Manitoba and rural Saskatchewan. We currently have hotel projects running in Souris, Rivers, Manitoba, Grenfell, Saskatchewan, with Carmen, Manitoba opening this fall, and Niverville, Manitoba starting construction this fall. We also have seniors residential developments in Souris, Grenfell, and Melita, Manitoba. In Stonewall, we're planning on developing a 40-room multi-story modern hotel. We have a unique room design in all of our hotels that has been met with tremendously favorable feedback. The hotel will feature a standard continental breakfast, meeting/multi-purpose room, a fitness room, and as we are hearing tonight, direct hotel access to the Aquatic Center, which the hotel will contribute a usage fee for. The hotel is purchasing land west of the Main Street entrance to the VMSC grounds. The design and the layout plans will be completed in consultation with the town to ensure an adequate connection opportunity to the future Aquatic Center, as well as the rest of the future recreational developments. This provides convenience factor to both the users of the recreation facilities from out of town and to the hotel guests. We have also secured enough extra land to have the capability to add on as the demand grows with the further development of future phases of the 10-year recreational development plan. Our future hotels will be streamlining their appearance to a consistent design and architecture following our newest planned hotel pictured here in Niverville, Manitoba. Even though the Stonewall Hotel will be smaller, it will utilize some consistent design elements with Niverville and our future hotels. The hotel will have numerous appealing room designs, starting with our unique standard split room design. This standard room encompasses both our double and single layouts and features the bathroom in the middle, splitting each bed. The single rooms have a queen bed on one side and a queen sofa bed on the other. This creates two distinct areas, each with their own TV. We have had fantastic feedback from our guests in our other hotels to this design. It provides separation and some privacy between the beds. We also move the vanity outside the bathroom so that when someone's in the washroom, they're not tying up the sink, which makes the morning routine a lot more efficient. Families and trades alike really like this room concept. Our family rooms are a slightly larger split room with a queen bed on one side and two sets of bunk beds, sleeping 4 kids on their own bed on the other, with their own power or USB plugs beside each bed and their own TV. We will have a selection of suites and larger 2-bedroom kitchenette suites, which are perfect for hockey parents, hospitality suite or a wedding prep suite for the bride or groom and their entourage. We also have a selection of other popular hotel rooms, including adjoining, barrier-free, and specific pet-friendly rooms. Our elegant design selections will have guests musing aloud that they can't believe the community has a hotel like this that rivals what they would find in the city. This hotel in Stonewall will also be the 5th property under our new Blue Crescent Hotel brand. This brand will represent quality big city comfort with small town hospitality. The brand will continue to grow as we focus on rural development opportunities across Canada. Being part of a brand provides these rural hotels with the visibility and credibility of a brand network that's not normally available to smaller hotel properties. We are excited alongside this local group to bring new quality overnight accommodations to the community of Stonewall, and we encourage the whole community to help us leverage this development to help grow Stonewall and the events and organizations that draw visitor and new residents into the future. To stay informed on the progress of the development, especially once construction begins, you can follow Steel Creek Developers on Facebook. We often provide construction updates and inside sneak peeks and important hiring and opening information as the project progresses. We thank you for welcoming us into your town, and we look forward to meeting you or speaking with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the individuals from Steel Creek Developers with regards to their presentation. This is an exciting project for us and something that we ultimately want to encourage the developers and the investors to move forward with. We think that the economic opportunity that has been discussed by the principals involved is probably an understatement in terms of its economic benefit to the community. We believe it can be a significant driver of dollars down Main Street, and we look forward to hosting regional, provincial, and national events here, and to be able to have the accommodations to host those events and keep the dollars circulating within our community rather than leaving to the city of Winnipeg. As part of the proposal to develop both the VMSC site and to work with the developer that is considering the hotel structure or facility within our community, the town is looking to start the first phase or potentially the first component of that larger development for VMSC. That particular development will be a new aquatics facility. Now, again, lots of the components are still very fluid. We haven't worked out all the details. We've done stuff on a very rough level to be able to provide this presentation so that ultimately we can get some feedback from the community about what needs to be in and or out, and that it isn't a preset assumption that's coming out to the residents of Stonewall. We do know, however, that an aquatics facility of a specific type in terms of what's being built in other communities costs somewhere between $3.5 and $5 million. And that ultimately we would need to look for support from the private sector, in order to help improve the viability of an aquatics facility. And so that's why we're happy to see that the hotel is interested in being not only on the site in terms of the accommodations, but also potentially a user of the facilities that are going to be there with them. The aquatic center capital costs, as I've already mentioned, range from $3 to $5 million. The options are wide open in terms of how that money could be raised. It can be done through fundraising campaign. It can be done through senior government grants, which we would obviously be interested in applying for should they become available. User fees could definitely be part of the way that the capital costs are covered. And also, I guess, on the table at this point is a potential debenture on the community. And we know and understand that that has a direct impact on taxpayers, but we want to provide the information to the community today so that individuals can consider the implications to themselves and provide feedback to the council as to the acceptability of the various options that are under consideration. The one issue for the town is that we need to make a decision in the next month or so with regards to a commitment to build a pool within the next 3 years. As we've been working with Steel Creek, they've identified a level of investment in the community based upon whether an aquatic center would or will not be built. And we agree with their contention that ultimately an aquatic center improves the viability of their business, and so have committed to making a decision within the next 30 days or so as to whether a facility would be built in the next a couple of years, with the understanding if that is done, the commitment from Steel Creek would be different in terms of their investment in a new hotel. So how will operating costs be paid? Well, there's a lot of different models as to how operating costs can be paid. They include full cost recovery from fees. This is probably not a viable option. There's I don't believe there's any indoor pools in Manitoba that are able to collect sufficient volume of fees in order to pay for all their operating costs. Most of them are subsidized to some level, and so to think that we could potentially create something like that in Stonewall is probably a false narrative. Partially subsidized by taxpayers is a fairly popular model in Manitoba. Most facilities that we looked at produce revenue that covers between 50 and 60% of the cost of operating that facility. So that means that somewhere between half and 40% of the costs are then covered by taxpayer dollars in order to have the facility in their community. In terms of what those operating costs look like, it's again hard to tell. It'll be dependent on the size of the facility, potentially the technology that's used or the operational pieces that are used, the mechanical systems that are implemented, etc. But based upon the experience of other jurisdictions, we're looking at probably somewhere between $600,000 and $750,000 in terms of the operating costs for a pool, community-sized pool that's indoor. Now, it is nice to know that that the hotel is committed to potentially providing a contribution based on their usage through hotel guests, and that is also part of our calculation here in terms of the information we're going to share to yourselves as residents. The other piece that the council needs to consider or needs to think about, and so does the community, I guess, what happens with Kinsman Lake operation in the summertime? So this, Kinsman Lake and the larger Quarry Park development there are really a jewel of the community. That's well known, has a very good reputation around the province in terms of what is provided. But by having both Kinsman Lake open and potentially an indoor pool, there will be duplication of costs. And so how is that squared in terms of budgets and tax implications, etc. So what is the cost of the project to the residents of the town? Well, that's hard to say at this point in absolute terms. As we've mentioned already, we're looking at capital costs of about $5 million and operating costs of probably somewhere between $600,000 and $750,000 a year. So, it's significant dollars that we're talking about in terms of both the capital component, but also the annual operating costs that will occur, for the next 30 years or so, at least in terms of the length of the life of the facility. What we want to do with the next number of slides is to provide a potential scenario to those who are watching this or listening to this presentation that's based on the worst case. In other words, there's very little fundraising that's done. There's very little contribution from the private sector. We're generating revenues that are probably only producing 60% or 50% of the actual revenues required to cover operating costs. And if that was the way this project went forward, what would that implication be to the taxpayer? So, as we said before, capital costs, we're going to use for this scenario a build of $5 million, which is in the higher end of the range of costs that we've looked at in terms of the building of an indoor aquatic center or pool for a community our size. We look at minimal or no fundraising or grant funding. So we're again considering the fact that we would be pursuing these, but we would not be, in this scenario, we're not looking at having any of those come to fruition. And so given that, we're probably looking at a net borrowing of about $4.5 million that would have to be done, would have to be taken in order to pay for a $5 million pool in this community. So there'd be some money the town could potentially provide from its reserves, and ultimately there would also be a contribution from the hotel project. So we would have a small amount of money, but nothing near what's required to build the actual facility. If that's the case, that debenture would then create an annual payment of about $375,000 over 20 years. In terms of operating dollars, again, we talk about the $750,000 in gross annual costs. So we're again going on the higher end of the costs that we've seen from various facilities within the province. We're assuming operating revenues of about $300,000, which is not, a large, again, not a large percentage of the actual cost. So it could be somewhat better than that, but we're again using a low number, a conservative number in terms of the revenue we're generating. We did include the money from the hotel guest usage in order to ensure that that we recognize their contribution. But that leaves us with net costs of about $350,000. And that's a significant number. Now, if we take the total annual commitment that would be required in order to run an indoor aquatics facility in the town of Stonewall, we're talking about a $375,000 debenture payment annually for 20 years. And we're looking at a net cost of about $350,000 for the actual operating of the pool. So a net financial contribution of over $700,000 annually in order to run the facility, at least for the first 20 years or so. What does that mean in terms of the actual dollars to me as a resident or property owner in Stonewall? Well, it means that we'd be looking to, if we had to raise all that money, we have to raise all that money from taxation, about the equivalent of 2.41 mils, or about a 10% increase in taxes for the average residential home in the town of Stonewall. So significant numbers, significant impact, and council's aware of that, but we also want to make sure that everyone understands that's the worst case scenario. That means no grant funding, that means no fundraising, that means we're not able to produce the revenues potentially at a higher rate. We're taking the worst case scenario and trying to provide that to the community to see what the community thinks of that potential scenario, and if it's better than that, what potentially the community would think of that opportunity. So what's next? We have a two-part plan here the council wants to work through with the community to try and make some decisions and trying to work through the conceptual plan that's being proposed to the town of Stonewall. The first is to obtain feedback from the community over the next 30 days or so about the desire for an indoor pool and having it built by 2025. So again, the commitment we've made or that the council has made to Steel Creek is that they would make a decision within the next 30 days, so kind of in the month of August here, and they would make a commitment that either they would or wouldn't build a pool by 2025, and based on that decision, Steel Creek will then determine the level of their investment in the community. We understand that based upon what is being proposed, that there's a significant tax increase projected based on that worst case scenario, but we want to understand what the desire and the capacity of the community is to change that scenario. Is there an interest in to potentially create a fundraising committee, potentially look at other options in terms of investment? Is there a desire for the community to even consider having an indoor pool if this is the cost structure that's required in order to maintain it? Because it's one thing to build it, it's quite another to ensure that it has sufficient funds every year to operate. And again, we would look at fundraising and granting opportunities, and just as we come out of the COVID-19 pandemic and its impacts, there are a lot of grants that are being proposed by senior levels of government. Is there an opportunity for us to potentially find something in those grants? There is, but we don't want to say that's an absolute. If it comes around, then ultimately we want to be prepared to take advantage of that. But it's not an absolute guarantee. And so it could reduce the impact, the tax impact of this project, but we don't want to provide that as an absolute surety. And with regards to operating costs, they could be improved, but based on other facilities within the province that we've seen, we believe this is a reasonable starting point with regards to the operation, and want to ensure that, again, the budgets that we're providing to the community are reflective of what we know to be operating costs in the province. So that's the first part, is to deal with the aquatic center and the desire of the community to have it go forward or not go forward. Part two, we want to work with the community to establish a plan to implement the vision, the larger vision, the second ice surface, the multi-purpose space, the gymnasium space, the walking track. We want to talk to the community about how does that move forward. We simultaneously want to work on granting opportunities for those expanded facilities, potentially fundraising, again, longer term. We talked about, a $52 million project. So this is not insignificant dollars that would have to be invested into recreation in our community. We want to look at private sector investment, obviously, and projects like the hotel that's being considered are part of that concept in terms of making the site and the entire complex a viable and economic driver for the community. And we want to engage regional partners. This project, this proposal, this concept is being rolled out to the residents of Stonewall first, but we understand that what we're looking at here should be viewed through a regional lens, and there will be opportunities for us to go and speak to other neighboring municipalities and their councils about the plan and about potentially engaging them as being part of the larger vision and part of the larger project. And of course, we want to continue with community engagement like tonight with regards to site development and how it evolves over the course of time. So with that, we will break the presentation and provide an opportunity for those that would like to ask questions with regards to the projects that were presented. So thank you everyone for the questions that you've asked. It's really good to get the feedback that we've received, and ultimately we will be using a lot of what's been discussed today as part of the decision-making process moving forward. Just in terms of next steps then, the conceptual plan for the VMSC site development and this presentation are to be posted on the town website. So we have the plan from Scatliffe Miller Murray. It along with the formal presentation being made today will be posted on our website. In addition, we're going to try and consolidate the questions and the answers that were provided tonight and add those to the website. So those who weren't able to attend tonight will have an opportunity to review those and ultimately be fully informed with regards to what occurred this evening. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, we are requesting the community for feedback on the potential creation of an indoor aquatic center by 2025, and that we request that feedback to the town by August 31st. And that can be done by email, by phone call, by written letter, whatever method the individuals would like to provide the information back to. We will try and document it and make it available to council. Obviously, we would prefer it in a written format so that there's a record of it and a record of exactly what is being asked to be considered by the individual. But we were looking for feedback so that we can actually, council can actually make a decision that is reflective of the community stance with regards to the project. And finally, we need to make a decision, or council needs to make a decision with regards to that particular project, the Aquatic Center, and get back to Steel Creek regarding its commitment, and ultimately let Steel Creek then make its decision regarding the level of investment in the community. Thank you for allowing me to make the presentation, and Mayor Hines, if you would like to finish up, thank you.
Finally, you have heard, you have seen, and I hope you were impressed by what the future holds. We have one of the greatest little towns northwest of Winnipeg. But one thing that life and history has taught us is that nothing good will last forever. So with that in mind, we as council will continue to find ways to propel us into the future, keeping Stonewall to that go-to place in Manitoba. Everything is achievable. If you really want it, you can get it through perseverance, determination, and we certainly will get there. Thank you for your time, and God bless.